how many of us are with the Bible? And I remember that we are one of those. You know, it's not good what you pass through and you know how it looks like and you are making another person pass through it. It's not good. So we are one of those who dodge around, you know, when such questions are asked. So it will not be fair if I'm doing my fellow dodgers the same thing. Because I know most of us. Okay, this very morning, we will be discussing on the topic Vows of Captivity. Vows of Captivity. So I'm just running around because I don't know what to talk. I don't know where to start. The things I was writing down, they were just coming. I was writing them, they were looking like a note. So I don't know how to turn it to sermon. Whether it is history, I don't know what it is. But I know that by the end of today, the Holy Spirit will speak. Vows of Captivity. I was given 2 hours, 30 minutes to manage for the sermon. We'll see what we can do. Talk with me to the book of Psalm 137. Psalm 137. Psalm number 137. From verse 1. Psalm 137 from verse 1. I begin to read. I know we are there. Psalm 137. So we read on. By the rivers of, here we sat down. Yes, we wept when we remembered Zion. We hung our harps upon the willows in the midst thereof. For there they that carried us away captive required of us a song, and they that wasted us required of us music, saying, Sing us one of the songs of Zion. How shall we sing the Lord's song in a strange land? If I forget thee, O Jerusalem, let my right hand forget her calling. If I do not remember thee, let my tongue cleave to the roof of my mouth. If I prefer not Jerusalem above my chief joy. Remember, O Lord, the children of Edom in the day of Jerusalem, who said, raise it even to the foundation hereof. O daughter of Babylon, who art to be destroyed. Happy shall he be that rewarded thee, as thou hast served us. Happy shall he be that taketh and dasheth thy little ones against the stones. There is what the Englishman calls melancholy. So this sermon will be on the notes of melancholy, in a moody form. That is what this sermon will be. But we are promised of joy in the morning. Now when we talk about captivity, there are 2 types of captivity from my theory. We have 2 types of captivity. We have number 1, the captivity won at the boundaries. Captivity won at the boundaries. And number 2, we have captivity bought at the rivers. Captivity bought at the rivers. So when we talk about captivity, are we using, known histories to trace whatever I am explaining today? Because this sermon is for every one of us who are here today. Every one of us who is at least Igbo originated. This sermon has some reasons, and the inspiration came from a reason. Now, when we talk about the captivity won at the boundaries, now let me tell you a little story of the Biafran war. Okay, let me tell you about war. When there is war, then it is believed that when the capital of the enemy is conquered, the enemy has been what? Conquered. And the worst thing that can be done to the opponent is when their boundaries have been taken over. There starts to be an incursion. When the enemy conquers your boundary, they begin to come inside to invade. There cannot be an invasion if there has not been a conquering of the of the boundary. That's why in ancient times they built high walls. You will hear histories about the wall of China that took years and thousands of souls to build because they are trying to protect their boundary. You also hear, you may not have heard about the Great Wall of Benin. It is believed, it is known that the Wall of Benin was greater than the Wall of China, higher and more in width than the Great Wall of China, which was also destroyed by the colonial masters. When the enemies conquer your boundaries, it is another way of captivity. It means that their captivation has started. Because after they have conquered the boundary, they begin to incursion. They start to invade into the land. And we have the captivity brought at the rivers. We also have the story of this. Okay, first, before I go to this, brought at the rivers. During the Biafran War, when Onitsha Head Bridge was conquered, everybody who had the story, it dawned on them. They felt for themselves because the enemy has taken a stand. And when it was conquered, now, when the boundaries of Enugu were taken, in order for us not to lose to them, Enugu had to be abandoned as a capital, and they moved to Owerri. And then they also came and conquered the boundaries of Owerri. And when they took Owerri, they had to change. Like, this is what the Biafran army were doing when the enemy were very hard on us, when they were bombarded. So, in order for us to save our boundaries, we remain a capital. That is the understanding of the conquering of the boundaries. Because we know that when the boundary is conquered, those people are conquered because the soldiers are always kept at the boundary. So when they are conquered at the boundary, the civilians are a joke. And now we have the conquering, the captivity, which is fought at the rivers. That is why we can say that Calabar is a false first capital of Nigeria. Because it was the capital of Nigeria before the declaration, before the independence, before they were called a sovereign state. And it became the capital because that was the base of slave trade. That is where the slave masters normally take off after they have bought slaves from Igbo land and some other suburbs of this very enclave. And it was from Calabar they used to take off. So they built their municipal in Calabar, and from there it turned to the first capital. Now, both at the rivers, when you are a slave or when you have been conquered, you still have hope while your feet are on the ground. But once you have been brought to the seashore, to the creeks, to the river line, once you have been brought there and you have been bound and thrown into the slave ship, your hope is over. You have been bought at the river. Am I communicating this very morning? Our topic says vows of what? Now, before I come to what I mean as vows of captivity, let me explain to you what I call 5 pointers. 5 pointers. And we'll be explaining from the book of the Bible, from where we read, the book of Psalm 137. The first pointer is Babylon. Where we read said, by the rivers of what? Now, I want to tell you all about Babylon. There's what we call imagery in literature. Imagery is the image that something else brings to your mind. The image that something else brings to your. For example, like you are walking inside your house, you want to open your door, and you see a gush of blood gushing out of an ass from your door. What images will struck your mind? Anybody you left at home you will feel maybe that person has been murdered. You will just conclude that somebody may have been murdered or seriously murdered. So all they will only have no law. You begin to imagine where could he have been wounded. So when you see blood, it gives you images of bruises, of murder, of cold blood murder or whatever. When you see, depending on the level of it. So that's what we call imagery literature. When you see something, the images it brings to you. When you see a young girl crying with her clothes torn, you think about rape. You feel this girl has been raped if it's on a lonely path. So when you are reading a book And maybe the writer begins to explain about a girl with a torn clothes, walking and shedding tears by the side of a lonely road. Before the writer is done, you have already assumed that the child has been what? Raped. That is what we call imagery. Am I communicating now? So I will give you the images of Babylon, but I will tell you what we call connotation. The connotation of Babylon. Connotation means implication. What something implies. When you hear about something, what it tells you, what next it implies. And I will be telling you the denotations of Babylon, which is when you hear about something, the exact thing you call it. Denotation goes with exactness. When you see this little chair, exactly you know it is the chair of a child. You don't think of anything. That is denotation. But if they ask you about implication, for example, an old man is standing up and asks for a chair, and there are big chairs, and this one is brought to him. The connotation, what it implies is that the man has been insulted, or the man does not have value. That is implication. By bringing that chair, that little chair, in implication, it means that this man may not have what? Value. That is the connotation. So I will tell you the imagery of Babylon, the images it carries, what it connotes, implications, and what it denotes, what you think when you hear about Babylon. And now when we talk about the images of Babylon, we begin to talk about images of chains. When we talk about Babylon, we see the images of what? Chains. And images of what? Sodom and Gomorrah. Sodomy. When you hear about Babylon, you think about images of chains, bondage, chains, and the images of what? Sodom and what? This is what Babylon stands for in imagery. And when you talk about what Babylon connotes, the implication of the word Babylon, when Babylon is inferred or used in a statement, the connotation it is trying to connote is connotations of conquest. When you talk about Babylon, it connotes what? Conquest. It connotes massacre. It connotes colonization, subjugation, and pain. That is what Babylon what connotes, what it implies. And when you talk about denotation, that is the exact thing you can say about something. When you hear Babylon, you conclude that Babylon is an empire of the enemies. An empire of the what? Enemies or the conquerors. Whenever you think about Babylon, that is one thing that comes to your mind. Even the Rastafarians. Rastafarianism is a religion that came from the Caribbeans, which are most of the African slaves, which the Americans used as farmers that farm sugarcane and every other thing for them. So sometimes they will carry them and travel down to those islands, and they will be planting sugar, cane, and other things for them. Sometimes they will feel like to keep them there, let them stay there, so they will not be coming and be taking what they produce. From there, they will leave those people there. They will give another bunch of persons, and that is how they turn to little countries like Jamaica and the rest of them. These are the Caribbeans. So, and that is from Jamaica that this very religion called Rastafarianism came from. Now, in Rastafarianism, whenever they make use of the word Babylon, it is talking about the enemies, the white men, the conquerors, the colonizers, the slave traders. Whenever they make use of Babylon, and whenever they say Babylon 4, they are talking about the Western civilization and all the evils it is coming with. Am I communicating this very morning? So the Bible said here, by the rivers of what? Now heaven falls rain, but Babylon rains hell. Are you getting what I'm saying this morning? Heaven what? Falls rain, but Babylon rains hell. Heaven falls rain, but Babylon rains hell. Now Babylon is my first pointer, which is by the rivers of Babylon. Now let me tell you a little bit about Babylon. Babylon is the harbor of all evil forces of nature. When we talk about Babylon, we are talking about that very enclave, that very place, that vicinity, that very place that harbors forces of nature, evil forces, demons. When we talk about Babylon, it gives us the herald, the message about every wind of doctrine. Every winds of doctrine. I want to be biblical a bit now. Every winds of doctrine. Babylon is the mother of all evil. Babylon is the mother and the founder of all what? Even fornication. That is what Babylon stands for in the Bible. Now let me come home a bit. I've told you about this message. That I'm talking about you as an Igbo man. This sermon is for you as an Igbo man, probably as a Biafran, as a black man. This is what this message is for you. If you are one of these three, then this sermon is for you. Let me tell you something. A book about a journeyman's ordeal. A journeyman, a traveler, ordeal is experiences. Any book written about a man's travels, a journeyman, it is called an odyssey. An odyssey. Now, a book about a journeyman's ordeal used to have two beautiful covers. Think about this thing now. This is philosophical. A book about a journeyman's, a book they wear two covers away. A book they wear two covers, the front and the back cover. It is not a book. So, a book about a journeyman's ordeal experiences bears two beautiful open and closed covers with all bitter pages in between. For example, now, when somebody wants to write a book about his situations, the things he's been through. For example, the book There Was a Country by Chinua. It is a very beautiful book. If you first look at the front, it looks beautiful, and the old Peugeot car and the man standing beside, it brings us the message of, age times. It is beautiful. If you look at the back, you see the face of the beautiful scholar, Chinua with his little story about his life, which is very beautiful and enigmatic. But in between those two beautiful pages are bitter stories. And that bitter stories are what I call Babylon experiences. For example, Things Fall Apart. Things Fall Apart is a beautiful book, but it has no back cover. Have you seen Things Fall Apart before? The book. It is a beautiful book. Am I communicating? But for me, the back cover, only the front, but away the back cover. It is a beautiful book. That one you bought in the market, even the new one you bought today, the back cover, so many again. Only the raw today. Ghana shop okay where that Things Fall Apart by Chinua. I'm using this book as a reference because if you're an Igbo man, as far as you can read and write, you have not read that book, you are 2 steps backward. You don't know your past, and you cannot plan your future. So it's better I let us know about these books. They are very important about us. I don't read books, but I read some once in a while. Now, that book does not have a back cover. Do you know why I said so? That beautiful book, which is the Odyssey of a journeyman, the cover talks about, how beautiful his life was before he started to take that journey, or before he started to pass through experiences. The in-between talks about those experiences he has passed through. And now the back cover talks about the hope he has for things to get better. But in this book, Things Fall Apart, it describes how good Igbo land, the Igbo community said it was. How wonderful it was, even with our pantheons, our ways of life. And he now spoke about how the white men got a guidance of that lifestyle and turned it to shambles. But it did not give us hope at last. That is why I say that the back cover is what? Come out. Am I communicating? So even that one you buy tomorrow, unless it has been edited, the back cover is still what? Come out. It's not there. So what am I trying to imply? When you have a beautiful start and a rough journey and you don't achieve a wonderful ending, it would have been better you didn't exist or never started that journey at all. So if you are a member of the Igbo race, I want to announce to you now that before you began this journey called Nigeria, your life was very beautiful. Ask your fathers. You were on top of the game, but now we are in the journey, and if we don't get to the end, It means that we are writing a book that will not have a back cover. Am I communicating this very morning? So if you are not resolute enough to continue this journey, so that you have a beautiful ending, so that when you begin to tell your child, when my fathers were growing up, things were very good, we used to enjoy life and your child was smiling, but you now told him until things fall apart and things begin to turn upheaval and life begins to become a pandemonium and your child begins to front face. If you don't give him another true story that will make him to smile at the end of the story, it would have been better you didn't tell him that story, nor even live to have given birth to him for him to request the story for you. By the rivers of water. So if you are in the land of Africa now, if you are an African, the black one for that matter, we are looking for somebody. We are looking for a craftsman. We are looking for a craftsman who will design the back cover of Things Fall Apart for us. We are looking for a man, probably men, who will design the back cover. Nobody has done it. But you could try to design it with his cohorts. But people like us and enemies alike, they made sure he couldn't design it. And when he was done designing his back cover, they took the back cover and still put it inside the book because it's still part of the bitter experiences. We have not gotten an end page of Things Fall Apart. So are you ready to design this end page for us? Because that is the beginning of the joys of the black man. That is the beginning. Do you know who you are? Do you know that it is, yes, disputable? Do you know that Igbo language is the oldest language that existed on earth? Do you know that probably you are the first man to have walked the face of the earth? That is why you don't have a story of migration. Because an Igbo man has a story of migration. Every migration story they talk about, they are called, they are what we call postulations. They are not verified. Igbos have not gotten a very valid story of where they came from. What does that mean? It means that you did not come from anywhere until they have gotten a story. Are you getting me? That is why an Englishman, you may ask an Englishman, what is the meaning of this thing in your language? What is the name? The Englishman will give you a name that if before he describes that name, he will have to press it to Latin. And if you go and meet the Latin man and call that same thing, what is the root meaning of this thing? He may have to press it to Hebrew. And when you go and meet the Hebrew man, you may have to press it to the ancient Palestinians. But when you meet an Igbo man and ask him, what is the name of this word? For example, what is the meaning of human being Igbo? You tell him it is Mmato. And you ask him, what does he mean by the word Mmato? You tell him it means the beauty of life. Mmato. Because every Igbo word looks like the original first word of every word. This is my own theory. I have researched about it. Every Igbo word you work now, you can split it into pieces, and all of them will have a meaning. That if you join them, they will explain the original meaning. It even happened to the extent that I will see an English word and they search it in the dictionary. I will still not understand it. I will then go and look for the Igbo word. When I find the Igbo word of that English word, I will pieces it because I know Igbo. I will understand it automatically. Because that word was not coined from another language. That is why it has original meaning from different smaller words joined together. So when you begin to know who you are, you understand that the beginning of the circle, the drawing of a circle, from where it began is where it will what? So if you are the beginning, it means that you will be the end. So if you are the beginning of these sorrows, you have to be the end of this what? So I'm talking to some black men here. Am I talking to you here? So if you were the beginning of these sorrows and these pains in Africa, because they were looking for you, they said you are the lost tribe of Israel. And when they kept looking for you, they saw other black men and they began to trouble all of you. You will be the end of this story in Africa. If I believe that, I will hear a louder amen here. We are still in the number one pointer, the rivers of what? And the number 2 pointer is the rivers. I will give you some mystery about the rivers. But you will not like the rivers. I'm not talking about I'm talking about the rivers. The number 2 pointer is what we call the rivers, because the place we are reading says by the rivers of what? So want to understand what that river, why it is joined to Babylon, it has to tell us the reason why it is related to what? The one. When we talk about rivers does not exist without, you know what is short? You know, the flush of a river. You know, we can call it creeks. You can call it harbor, coast, river line. Rivers, the edges of waters or rivers themselves. I want to tell you what river is all about. How it relates to this very fast. We are treating Psalm 137. If I wanted, I have called the topic Psalm 138. But I just decided to call it what? Vows of what? So you can choose your own topic here. It's my own topic that I chose. A river is a point of transition. Transition is, you know, the change into another thing, or the beginning of a movement, a journey. Transition center or terminal or whatever. Whenever something is about to begin, or when something begins to change into something else, it's called transition. So a river is the point of what? Transition. The rivers is that part of our land that condones the bargain for our head. The rivers is that part of our land that accepts, that watches and allows the descending of us. The rivers. Because it was during the slave trade, whenever they finalized their selling of a black man or any man, is at the rivers when they were thrown into the slave ship. So whenever we talk about rivers, we think about slave trade. We think about that very element that permits the buying and selling of the heads of the owners of the land. That is what rivers are. It is still rivers that also harbors them and transports them to their safe harbor. That is what rivers are. Rivers is the point we bid our fatherland farewell. Because once the ship leaves, your hope leaves. Can you put yourself in the shoes of your fathers and their sold to slavery? You may be struggling while you are still on ground, struggling with the chains. But once they have handed you over to the white man who throws you inside the ship, that is where you bid your fathers farewell. That is what this reverse is doing. I want us to know what this reverse is doing here. Because these people are talking about their captivity in Babylon. And rivers was present here. We want to know what rivers is doing here. The river is the moment we stop being who we are. You know, when you stop answering dear, give you those someone say, oh, it is at that point. On at the river, because even man there could be a reprisal attack and not attacking. You can still come out to know that dear, as one as a citizen, as an owner of the land. Am I communicating? But once you are thrown into the river, you have become a slave. So the rivers is the moment we stop being who we are. When we begin to answer, we stop answering decay. You know, in those times, only obstinate kids who will stubborn, or probably and sometimes they won't even school. They make plan, they make hands. That is why we have like our fathers are trying to make us believe. We shouldn't have great men over there. The greatest black pastor of now traced his village to Igbo land. So I the area from a stupid father. I don't think that man will produce grandchildren of pastor. But we know who I'm talking about. TD Jakes. He's an Igbo man. He's even proud of it, learning Igbo. Now, if his father was an obstinate, a stupid man, more one and goes here, they used to tell us, I don't think they should have produced sons of that stock and many others over there. So the river is the point where you stop answering decay. God, as I was saying, Adhash. One Adhash. The river is the point where we stop answering warriors to weak parts. Because if we are still struggling, or to make a little more in the give warrior who's here maybe only the head of the warrior of your clan. You are just a warrior. He was only she all up and changed already. You cannot fight anymore. This all only can be could be sold to slavery. You turn from a warrior to a weak. That is what the river is all about. Am I communicating this morning? The rivers is where sabotage, betrayers come. And Igbo land, we can call it the Omenokos. How many of us know the story of Omenokos? The most popular man that sold slavery, sold people to slave in Igbo land. The river is where sabotage, betrayers come from. Because all the man have to eat in a sheep. When they are the way he they are practically here. You just like when they were living in here. It is at the point of the rivers that the tears of our fathers are more thicker. Because when they are suffering in the land of the enemies, they don't shed tears that are too thicker than the ones they shed when they discovered who betrayed them. That is the rivers. Have you understood what river is doing in Babylon here? It wasn't any Babylon never here. The river is where we float and yet beg for water. As a slave, you are selling on a ship that you have been there for 2 months, but probably you may not have taken water for 1 month, but you are on top of a sea. That is what the river talks about. Someone should open the book of Exodus 15, verse 22. Don't close this passage. Let me tell you what I mean by how it happened. How the ancient captives, they were close to rivers, yet they were still thirsty. Exodus chapter 15, verse 22 to 23. I read. So Moses brought Israel from the Red Sea. Exodus 15, 22. And they went out into the wilderness of Shur. And they went 3 days in the wilderness and found no water. And when they came to Marah, they could not drink of the waters of Marah, for they were what? Therefore the name of it was called what? They met a water and yet they were still what? Thirsty. That is what river calls the captivity. Rivers is the point we can only bargain for our freedom with the reins of ancestral reunion. Let me explain it to you. When you are about to be sold to slavery, when you are still on the land, you can fight and regain your freedom. But when you are in the sea, in the rivers, the only way you can regain your freedom is by fighting to join your ancestors, by jumping into the sea. You don't have any hope again. Because even when you are dropped at the land of the foreigners, even if you escape, you will run into the hands of other slave traders. Am I communicating? How many of us have had this history of the Igbo landing that happened at Georgia? It is the most expensive history about African slavery. We don't know the story of Igbo landing. It happened at Georgia, United States. When some set of Igbo men, Igbo slaves, they were hijacked. They have lost. I'm trying to explain to you what I mean by the point we can only bargain our freedom with the ranks by joining our ancestral, with the ranks of ancestral union. And they came to a point, they were asking themselves in Igbo. You know, they spoke in Igbo and other things. And because they were valiant men, read your history. Igbo men were known as the most resilient and stubborn slaves. Slaves that refused to be slaves. Am I communicating? I don't know if you know, it is your past that can place you to that future you are looking live for. Because life is in a circle. Your future is your past. Do you know about it? That is why my hairstyle, you did this hairstyle. I'm clear with it. But don't you know what? So what does it mean? My future is in my past. Am I complicated? I don't know if you are getting what I'm saying. Only the best of good idea. The only difference now is so I am doing it again. It is I am repeating what my father did. Am I complicated this morning? Your future is in your past. Your life is a circle. Am I complicated this morning? So if you don't know your past, you cannot trace your future. Do you know why they say that knowledge is power? It is not because when you get knowledge, you become strong, you become a master. Because when you have the knowledge over something, you begin to apply it and you begin to see things work. That is why they say knowledge is power. Because those things must have been around you, because you don't know how to use them, you cannot use them, you cannot be powerful until you begin to use them. Are you getting what I'm saying this morning? So if I don't tell you who you are, you will not start becoming who you are. We have heard the story of the eagle that grew up alongside with chicks, with chickens. It was fed with chickens. Ọ̀ma náà wà níbi. Ọ̀ma náà ọ̀wọ́ onye ga-arịọ iri. Ọ̀ma náà ọ̀wọ́ onye na-awụsara iri. Ọ̀wọ́ ụmụ ọkụkọ. Ọ̀ma náà ga-efe dị n'awa si elu. Ụmụ ọkụkọ fe bababutu, ihe wefe bababutu. Until they show na onye yiri ya. Until the eagle saw who looks like him. And he saw it fly and flew. And did not even fly, but soar in the wings of the wind that carried other birds. And the eagle said, I am of this form. And the eagle went back, and the eagle flew. That is what we mean by knowledge is what? Am I communicating this morning? In that story of the Igbo landing, the Igbo slaves, they took over the sheep of their masters. And they killed them. Do you know what they did? They lined up threads, and they walked into the sea. And the slaves, the remaining masters began to ask, where did these people come from? Where did these people what? If you reach home, go and read about the Igbo landing and read about Igbos as slaves. Igbo slaves, we are costlier than every other slaves. And I need a slave of the stock of the Igbo. That is why we are sold more. Because we are stubborn and we are very knowledgeable. That is who you are. These men said, we now have their lives today. They said, instead of me to live in slavery, it is better I go and reunite with my ancestors. They all walked straight in accord. All Ugwumba. When I walk straight to Igbo, before you alive, you say, I want to serve you people. It's better I'm alive serving you people. If you know who you are, you understand that there was no saboteur in the communal setting of an Igbo man, because everybody was okay with what he had until the war came. It is the war that made you a traveler. It is the war that after the war, there was nothing left of us. We began to travel, and when we travel, we are traveling through hook or crook to make something and come back home. That is when an Igbo man began to fight the other. I am telling you what I know. That is when an Igbo man begins to fight the other. And now we have grown with that nature, that understanding that an Igbo man is a cheat, that an Igbo man is an absconder, that an Igbo man is a maneuver. We have begun to have that understanding. Even though when at times you want to apply what makes you an Igbo man, when that is not what makes you an Igbo man, because you don't know the history of your fathers. You will have known that they are men that work in accord, men that never had kids, but yet they rule themselves better than everybody in the earth. That is who an Igbo man was. Do you know that democracy started in Igbo land? Do you know that the ancient Greeks, they learned democracy from Igbo? Go and read the history. Democracy started from Igbo land. Because we are people that don't have people that say and take their king. Very simple ways. Every king you are seeing today in Igbo land was installed by the colonial masters. Because they needed people that they will be using to get more slaves and control the people. They began to install, kings, and also began to install what we call principal heads. One chiefs. So if you read your history, you know that what you think you are as an Igbo man is not who you are. Am I communicating this morning? Somebody is not saying yes. The reverse is the point we first of all think about home without hopes, but prayers will see home again. When you are in the reverse, you no longer hope. You just think about home without hope. You only pray, you see. Do you know what hope is? They say that hope is a substance of things not seen. Of the things in the future, the evidence of things what not seen. That is hope. So what does it mean? When you are in chains, you are not supposed to have hope. You can only pray. Because when you have hope, is when you feel hope that somebody can come and save you. But when you know that nobody can save you again, you don't have hope again. So we don't use hope out of nothing. Hope comes from something. That is why they tell you that hope is the substance. The peripheral, or the peripheral seeable feature of the mighty thing that is yet to come. Am I communicating this morning? So when you are in the sea, in the rivers, you don't have hope again, because you know that everybody surrounding you wants you to remain in that position. That is what the river stands for. And now let me shock you. Before you are sold to slavery, either by self or by force, there are two ways you can be sold to slavery. By force, when you are taken as a slave, or by self, when you pay money for it. Am I communicating? Well, are you going there to rent as king? In the process contract, can I chase it? Am I going to serve the white man? That is it. Isn't what we are going there to do? It is a modernized or a modern new colonialism. So there are two ways of what? Slavery. Either you are forced, or you say, "I get like a chong gano." I've been around the chong. Are you getting what I'm saying here? And each of them, if you are forced, you are sold through sheep. You walk through the river. If you go by yourself, you are going to oversee. There must be something about the river. There must be something about what? Me cross the river, you can oversee. You must, whether you feel him and the money one, why you not know anything about water. You don't have anything relation with water, but you are still crossing the over. So whether you go overseas or you go through ship, you are going to serve. So even those who are in the airplane, half a year is a picture saying you know who can have other side. Even them, they are not even too sure it will come back. Because most of them don't come back. Have you heard of the story of the things happening in Malaysia? When the police cannot check in a 20 days, they ship and patrol because you're a black man. So, in order to hear your brother, do you have hope that you may return? You are just on the uncertainty level. By his grace, I will come back. And you are asking me to not ask what is wrong with us. These Malaysians, they know how to plant trees and use it to make red oil. And that is their major source of income. And here, from us. They could grow palm trees for all these years and began to make palm oil and make money so much that we need to travel over there. So people that have no natural resources to make money and come to crime. So we only give us that one half a day by our raising, which means we are the lower store, and you ask me not to worry about what is happening to us. Am I communicating this morning? By the rivers of what? What after 7 chapters? Go back to Psalm 137. I told you to not close it. By the rivers of Babylon, there we sat down. Yes, we wept when we remembered the place of freedom. We hung our harps upon the number 3 pointer is our harps and the windows. Our harps and the what? We hang our harps upon the Now, when we talk about harp is a musical instrument and a or a strange instrument and like this. When we talk about harp, we talk about happiness. When we talk about hearts, we talk about hopes. When we talk about hearts, we talk about our inborn resources. Because if they had hearts, even in the land of slavery, it means that they knew how to make use of the heart, which means they are talented. So when we talk about hearts, we are talking about inborn resources, not the crude oil that belongs to Jigawa. The crude oil in Bayelsa that Jigawa State says that it belongs to what? Them. We are not even talking about that one now. When we talk about hearts, we talk about inborn resources. We talk about the Davidians. David had nothing, but he could get to the house of the king because he could play on the harp. So if they could even have harps in the land of slavery, it is talking about hope. It is talking about inborn resources. It is talking about their traditions because that is what is left of them from where they came from. When we talk about harps, we are talking about that which is left of us. That is the only thing left of them. They didn't say we brought our bags. When you are being sold to slavery, when you are conquered, you're not allowed to go with anything. But they are sold easily in playing the harps that the captivators told them, hope all of you are with your harps, or you come let us take you to captivity. That is what the harps means. And go back to that verse 2. What did they say there? Everybody wants to go. We hang our harps upon the willows in the midst thereof. Thank you. Now let us know what willows are. They hung their harps. They handed over their harps to the willows. The willow is a particular tree. It's a type of tree that grows more in the red forest. All the people can do. That river, I have issue with river this morning. Willows are trees that grow near what? Rivers. It doesn't grow any other place. It always needs water. So the people can mean. So the willow is a proof that when they even reach Babylon, no one will shoot. So ever back into the first place they landed over near the sea. That is why the only thing around them was willows. That is why they hung their harps upon the what? Willows. So the willow is a proof that they were still sold by the river. Because the beginning said by the rivers of. So the willow is proof of a strange land. It's a proof of a strange land. Proof of captivity. It proves that they have been captivated, that they are in a strange land. And they handed over their resources. They handed over what they have. They handed over what is left of them. They handed over their traditions like the Igbo did. They handed over their customs, the richness of their ingenuity like the Igbos did. They handed it over to the captivators. They hold their hearts upon the what? Willows. Am I communicating this morning? That is the number 3 pointer. The harps and the what? The harps and the. What is our topic today? Vows of what? The number 4 pointer. Our song and me. Let's read verse 3. What did verse 3 say? For there, they that carried us away captive required of us and they that wasted us required of us a meat, saying, sing us one of the songs of. Let me explain something to you now. Open to the book of Exodus. That's in Exodus chapter 15. Exodus chapter 15. I said the number 4 pointer is our songs, our meat, our timbrels, our harp and our hands. Now let's read that place. Exodus chapter 15 from verse 1 to 2. It says, Then sang Moses and the children of Israel this song unto the and spake, saying, I will sing unto the Lord, for he hath triumphed gloriously. The horse and his rider hath he thrown into the Lord is my strength and my song, and he is become my salvation. He is my God, and I will prepare him an habitation. My father's God, I will what? This is the song that enemies are telling you to sing under captivity. Is that not a mockery? Is that not a mockery? Somebody is about to kill you. Yes, God. Yes, God. The Lord will let the end. Are you getting what I'm saying? He's trying to mock you. Sing those your stupid songs that were trying to exalt your God, that were trying to reassure your belief on His protection. Sing it now that you are in captivity. Am I communicating this very morning? They said to them, they that carried us away captive. They wanted to reassure you, to remind you that the people asking us to sing these songs of praise, they are those who carried us captive. They said unto us, sing us one of the songs of Zion. We are not done. Let's jump to verse 11 of that Exodus 15. Let's read verse 11 and we'll jump to verse 19. Still on the songs. Verse 11 says, and it shall be when the Lord shall bring thee into the land of the Canaanites. No, not it. Not me. Please. Thank you. Okay, let's read them again. Verse 11. Who is like unto thee, O Lord, among the gods? Who is like thee? Glorious in holiness, fearful in what? Doing wonders. And we sing that song every day. Imagine you, a Fulani man, let me say a Muslim, someone who wants to kill you. But you say, go through that song, that makes sense of who is like unto thee. Are you getting what I'm saying? That point, we think it showed bravery, but it was showing what? Mockery. Because in the land of Israel, they don't have songs of sorrow. They don't have songs of pain. All they have are songs of victory. And this is the most prominent song, the one that Moses and Miriam sang after the Egyptians run into the sea. That is what we are reading here. So it is one of the songs of Zion that they captivate what we are asking them to sing for them when they are down in captivity. Mockery. Now have we read verse 19 to 21? Let's read more and know what these songs are. From verse 19. For the house of Pharaoh went in with his chariots and with his horsemen into the, and the Lord brought again the waters of the sea upon them. But the children of Israel went on dry land in the midst of the sea. And Miriam the prophetess, the sister of Aaron, took a timbrel, another instrument of music, like the harp, took the timbrel in her hand, and all the women went out after her with timbrels and with what? Dances. The songs of the Israelites are songs that are sung with timbrel, harps, and dance. You know, recounting and declaring the praises of Him who saves them from captivity. And that is what captivators were asking them to sing us one of the songs of what? I don't know who may have been asking you to sing him your victorious song because he's holding you with shackles. Time shall come when you shall sing that song, and your happiness, your joy in singing that song is not forced but reality. If you believe that, I want to hear a louder amen now. So if they must sing those songs, they have to dance. But how can they dance in chains? Sing us one of the songs of what? Sing us one of the songs of what? Let's go back to that book. That Psalms chapter 137. So when we talk about these songs, we are talking about what we call myth and legend. Myth and legends. They are what we simply can cover the copy the two more. Oh, yeah, about people. People, they are myth and legends. They are stories telling about a people's past, telling of their heroes, their great men. They are strong men, they were strong and did great things. So asking them to sing them the songs of Zion, their traditional songs, was asking them to take them, sing about your heroes. Be happy in them, you know, proud in them again. Now you are in captivity. I'm sorry, let's go back to that same Exodus 15. We are not done. Let's see the myth and legend. I want to explain to you that Israel had Ifo. Ifo, Israel. In that same Exodus 15, verse 3 to 6. That same Exodus 15 from verse 3 to 6. I want us to read it together. Are we there? What did he say? 1 to go. The Lord is a man of war. The Lord is his Pharaoh's chariots and his host hath he cast into the. His chosen captains also are drowned in the red. The depths have covered them. They sank into the bottom as they perceived the land. Thy right hand, O Lord, is become in power. Thy right hand, O Lord, hath dashed to pieces the enemy. These are their myths and legends. Here are people of Israel. And the enemies are asking them, sing those songs for us now. Now let me relate this story to the African slaves, which is also where we are. Because ancient Israelites were black men. So it's still the story about them. Now, the African stories, do you know that all the most popular songs, the most popular styles of music and now are Africans? Africans win. Are you aware of it? Africans don't have win. Africans win. The only thing not how we win handel. All this, some of the choir songs with hymns and handel. Every other style of music, these Africans are doing it. Now let me tell you how most of those songs came about through slavery. To make you understand that even the black slaves, they were also forced to sing them songs of Zion. There's a song we call soul music. It's an African originated. African slave originated. Soul music are sorrowful songs that they sing and recount their painful experiences. And from soul music, it graduated to blues. Blues never meant love song, as I've changed it. Blues originally blue means sorrow, sadness. Whenever you hear in the blue, it's talking about in the soulful time. So blues are also African originated, which came from soul, which also talk about their conditions as slaves, which means they also used to sing as slaves. From blues, it graduated to country music, which also spoke about country home, the life they used to live in the ancient times. From country music, it moved to R&B, reggae and rhythm and blues, which is a blues, that soulful song, but that is played with the added with the drums. It is also talking about their stories, their painful stories. From there, it moved on to reggae music, which the Caribbeans, the Rastafarians, I told you, used to sing. And there are also songs that are talking about the future. That is what I told you, that this part does not have a back cover page. Reggae is the back cover page of the songs of African slavery. Am I communicating this now? Because reggae only talks about the future that is yet to be seen. And before finally it now moved on to people, when they now think they are free, when the white men gave them a false freedom, and they began to sing people. They couldn't sing their songs until they crossed the rivers. Still that Exodus 15. These are the two places we are working with. Open there. I want to come back to, I told you I have issue with rivers. As far as it was associated with Babylon, it has some things to tell us. That is why even in the Biafran war, those who betrayed are those we call them Bami, Abaya. It is still those in the riverine areas. We are still the people that betrayed. I have an issue with the rivers. Exodus chapter 15. Well, we are going to read from the verse 14, the last verse of verse 14 of that Exodus chapter 15. That's the verse 14, because these things are thread stories that are now meant to chapters. They couldn't sing their songs until they crossed the rivers. Exodus 14, we're reading from verse 13 and we'll move over to chapter 15. I read. Thus the Lord saved Israel that day out of the hand of the Egyptians. And Israel saw the Egyptians dead upon the sea. And Israel saw that great work which the Lord did upon the Egyptians. And the Lord feared, and the people feared the Lord and believed the Lord and his servant Moses. Chapter 15. Then sang Moses and the children of Israel this song unto them. After they had crossed the Red Sea. It was until when they were in the sea, before they entered the sea, they couldn't sing any songs. They were eating the dark, telling Moses, why did you bring us here? You would have allowed us to remain slaves in the land of Egypt. And you brought us here to be rounded and slain as chickens. Even when the Lord opened the Red Sea, when that first miracle happened, they are still in disbelief and doubt and fear. Because they are still in the sea, in the rivers. Because after they have crossed the river, the Bible says here that after they crossed the river, then sang Moses and the people this song unto the Lord. So how could they sing when they were still in the riverside? In the book of Psalm 127. Because it was by the rivers of Babylon when he asked them, sing us one of the songs of what? Zion. Am I communicating this morning? Now, read verse 27. Let me tell you where they made mistake in that journey out of Egypt. Verse 27, Exodus 15, that's 15. Verse 27. When you are fighting for liberation from captivity, you don't take your rest in the sea. You don't take your rest in the rivers. Because the rivers is the boundary. They can come at any time and take you. Verse 27 of that Exodus chapter 15. It says what? And they came to Elim, where we are 12 wells of, and 70 palm trees. And they encamped there by day. That is why they didn't reach so. After they were saved from the waters, they still went to another water and they camped. So they chose no other rest than the sea. You know what restoration means? Restoration is the store of rest store. So when you have gotten one rest, you have not been restored until you can jump the store of rest and you get it in full restoration. So they got one rest, they thought it was all over. They still went to another riverside and the beach. And that's why they keep falling into hands during the journey from Egypt. The rivers withhold restoration. Let me shock you. Let's go to the book of Psalm 23. Psalm 23. The rivers withhold restoration. Psalm 23. We are reading from verse 2 and 3. Let's read together. What does it say? Then chapter 3, verse 3. Thank you. Thank you. First of all, he leads me beside me before he then restores me. Look at it. The Lord is my shepherd. Do you know this is a reaffirmation? You are trying to, all the more time, when you more than him attack now. You see, Lord Jesus, you are the man of war. You are not saying that because you want to tell him that he's the man of war. You are just trying to reassure yourself that the one you are serving is the man of war who is mighty to us. So that is what the Lord is my shepherd is doing. He is in the midst of fears and he begins to remind himself that even in this point in time, the Lord is my what? That is why he said, I shall not, which means he's almost about to want. Even on their condition that they had, and I say, it is well, my brother. Are you getting what I'm saying? A big man is here, I'm not able to contain at the bottom. You know that? But this is another poor man with all those here, Boko man, or that shoe and Lolo Jonah. Particular fish that follow Jonah, you will get a shoe. Even the guy here is hang. He said, one day, how are you? He said, well, the God is good. Are you getting what I'm saying? So for him to say, I shall not want, he is one thing. At that point in time, David was what? And he was telling what he now says, he makes me to lie down in green pastures, which is something like willows. Because willow grow near the sea, the rivers. So green pastures or island which needs water, which grows near the water, which means that is where he's in the seashore. He is not yet sure of his salvation. And then he now led him beside the still waters. When he now led him out of the sea water, he then restored his voice. And I will be marvel. Are you getting me? So when you are mentally, that is when your soul is what? Which means before his soul was restored, both we can hear him, both we can hear Uku. Am I communicating? until he crossed the sea. So that is why I told you that the rivers withhold restoration. Am I communicating this very morning? By the rivers of what? Have I listed the 5 of them? Number 1 was Babylon. Number 2 was the rivers. Number 3, our harps and the willows. Number 4, our songs, our myths and legends. And number 5, the last pointer, the vows of captivity. Let me tell you, those who have no vows in times of pain, they have slim possibility of coming through that pain. Those who cannot make vows to themselves and to Him who they expect their salvation to come from, in that time of captivity, they have slim possibility of coming through that pain. The vows of what? Let's still go. We are still in the book of Psalm 137. That is our place of study. So don't go far from it. Psalm 137. We are still there. What is a vow? A vow is a solemn promise to perform some acts or behave in a specified manner, especially a promise, a declaration or an assertion. So I'm going to go far with it. So you see now. I'm talking about vow. When you vow to do something, you decide to do something. You are not doing it yet. You are deciding it upon the belief that if this comes true. Now let's be reading from verse 5. We are in verse 5. I hope you know. We have read verse 4. How shall we sing? Okay, we've not sung it. They said, how shall we sing the Lord's song in a strange? Now, verse 5. Look at the vows of the captivity, of the captives. Verse 5 said what? If I forget thee, O Jerusalem, let my right hand forget her. You know what Jerusalem means? Yerushalayim is the right pronunciation of the word Jerusalem. It means the Prince of Peace. So when we are talking about Jerusalem, we are talking about when they will be free and be in peace. So even in captivity, they were vowing to themselves, I will never forget you, O Jerusalem. I will never lose hope of a time when I will be free again. Am I communicating this morning? He said, if I forget you, look at, in times of pain, do you make some vows to God? Or to yourself? He said here, if I forget it, you know what means right hand forgetting her calling? Like, let me forget the things I could do, the things that make me who I am. My intellect, my intelligence. Right hand goes with knowledge, with practice, with action, with positivity. That's why you use your left hand sometimes, acquire error or something like that. Which means right hand goes with positivity. So let my right hand forget her calling. Let my right hand forget what it used to do, what it knows how to do. Which means they are sacrificing what makes them who they are for the belief that they will surely go back to the land of peace. Am I communicating this morning? Which means if you don't find freedom, our endowments will run away, will move away. Now let's read verse 6. Another vow of captivity. Verse 6 says, if I do not remember thee, let my tongue cleave to the roof of mine. If I prefer not Jerusalem above mine. Now it is very, very painful that most of us, our people, some of them, their chief joy, as we read here, is political position like this. Chief joy. The highest joy of those in politics is when they achieve a particular seat. Okay? That is their chief joy. It is very painful that they forget that their chief joy doesn't mean we have gotten peace. These people in captivity, it's possible that some of them, like Mordecai, has been assigned to the position of guiding the king, having a work to do. You know, serving the master and living at least in a manageable way. But they are still talking about future. They were still talking about Jerusalem. If I do not remember thee, they were cursing themselves. What are they saying? If I don't get myself this peace, if I don't fight and liberate myself from captivity, let my tongue cleave to the roof of my mouth. What does it mean? Let me not be able to do anything. Let me not be able to be in a position. Let me never sing again. This is the vows of captivity. If you don't make vows to yourself, the men at Igbo landing, they make vows to themselves that if we don't return alive, we will return in death. If our body does not return, our spirit will return and have peace. So that is why they choose, instead of slavery, they chose to rest in what? Peace. That is why these men say, if I forget you, Jerusalem, a place of peace, let my tongue cleave to the roof of mine. These are the vows of what? Captivity. The vows of what? Let's see the last one. Verse 7. Is another problem we used to have. When you are in captivity and you begin to learn forgiveness, you will never be free. What did I say? When you are in captivity and you begin to learn forgiveness, you will never be what? You don't need to forgive those who are holding you captive, because they are still holding you captive. How does he deserve forgiveness? Why will you tell me, let us live in peace? The war is over. But those who fought me and killed me are still killing me till today, are still holding me down. And you tell me, let us put our differences aside and move on. Not that we wasted one time. Let us put our differences apart and build Nigeria as one. And either Shehu Shagari told him, no, we must take cognizance of our differences. That if I don't understand that I'm a Fulani from the north who practices Islam, and that you are an Igbo man from the east who practices Christianity, we will not achieve anything. So even they captivate us, we are reminding him to never forgive them, but he chose to forgive them. That is why Islam began to tell you that we will not forgive them. But when you forgive him, it means you have accepted to live in the condition he has put you in. These are the vows of captivity. You decide to not forgive him who has put you in that condition. That is what gives you resilience. That is what gives you the power to keep fighting. Let's read verse 6. What did they say there? Verse 7, that is where we are about to read now. Verse 7 and 8. He says what? And verse 8 says what? And verse 9 says what? Men in captivity are planning what they will do to their enemies. That is unforgiveness. They are still in captivity. Even though the Lord has not saved them, their most concern is, remember, O Lord, the children of Edom, those people that told us in the land of Egypt when we are coming out, in the time of Jerusalem, in the time of our peace, saying that they should destroy Jerusalem. Those people that said that it should be destroyed. And they were not talking about daughters of Babylon. The people, they are still under captivity. They said to them, you are to be what? Destroyed. These are the vows of what? Captivity. Somebody who is being captivated is telling the captor or the captivator that you are about to be what? He said, happy shall he be that rewardeth you as thou hast served us. Now look at how much their unforgiveness was. You know, most times we preach so much love that it affects us. This time he begins the maybe look, for example, a Fulani man that wants to kill you. He not 10 months, it happened in it is not how our fathers watch. Okay, he will come back again. He didn't achieve his end. He's not supposed to go or achieve. Let's be honest. Look at what the people who are still in captivity, look at what they are saying here. Happy shall he be that taketh your little one. They will all get that shine on the stone. these are people who are under captivity, and when you are free, you tell me you not do it. So until you revolt over a particular condition you are into, until you say enough is enough, I don't want to be here again. Until you tell him that kills you in 1,000, that I'm about to kill you in 10,000, you can never be free. He said that now they come against his freedom from being in the prison, castration of Nigeria. Was the day he told them to go and tell Buhari that he can never want. Am I communicating this morning? You can forgive somebody who wronged you, but you cannot forgive somebody who wronged your fathers. Man we can't forgive him but the brothers again and has to be tell these people what they did to us. It is your tradition, your custom to not forget it. So if you think that you are living in peace, for the sake of the fight that your fathers handed over to you, you are not to be a forgiving type. Am I communicating this morning? Israelites were in captivity and they were still envisaging, visioning the time when their God will take the sons, the children of Babylon, and hit their head on the stone. It is not really that they may achieve all of those things. They may not really have the mind to do them. But when you build the mind to do it, you may discover your enemy running. Probably you may not have finally achieved that. But when you choose to take peace, do you know that the best way? Okay, let me ask you questions. Have you seen somebody that beg? Have you seen people making that statement? Let us beg for peace. I've not heard that thing before. What I used to hear always is fight for peace. So which means when you stay silent, you fight wars. But when you fight wars, you get peace. Am I communicating this morning? I am preaching to, let me say, hundreds of you. But my prayer is that this thing that is entering into your minds, each of you will turn to 1,000 and 10,000 of evil men out there. I'm preaching this thing to you this morning. But my prayer is that the same thing, that it will enter into millions of the minds of African men. The day you stop rubbing shoulders with he that defiled your fathers, that is the day your victory started coming. Am I communicating this morning? So I don't know how happy you are with the condition you are into. I want you to take a time, study about who Igbos were before the war. Study about who you used to be. And when you know who you used to be, you will discover that who you are now is not who you are supposed to be. Am I communicating this very much? So I don't know how happy you are, but I'm not happy. I am not happy because young youths rose up to ask for what belongs to them. And those who are putting them in that condition succeeded in putting them in that condition by taking their lives. And they have gone back to their nest. And when they have gone back to their nest, resting, the enemies are now coming with full force, arresting them. Even those who broke houses and took what belongs to them, they are still arrested. And you tell me that I should be happy.
To erase this toast, so I sing my melody, and I sing with strings and violin, and making my melody as if all is well, and I say, oh my